Hello, my name is Amanda Richard. Welcome to Realizing a Dream, the Deaf Culture Center Opening Celebration Gala. The Deaf Culture Center, located in the historic Distillery District in the heart of Old Town Toronto, opened its doors May 13, 2006. That historic day was celebrated with a gala opening. Over 500 deaf and hearing people from around the world attended, sharing their language, their culture, and their pride.
This is a very, very special place. This is the first Deaf Culture Center in history in the world, and I'm glad to be here. I'm honored to be here. I think this is telling us that it's okay to be deaf. It's fun to be deaf. That deaf lives are as successful as any other, that we are unique individuals, and this is an opportunity to look up at our community. I think this is a really good opportunity to recognize our history, to provide more opportunities for deaf people to get together. This is something that is new to the world, and it's here. It's an historic event. It's something that we will never forget. This is fantastic. It's like super califragilistic, fantastic. This is the most amazing event of its kind. It's like a new deaf planet being here. It inspires me. I feel like I've found my true world here in this room.
During the gala celebration, there were many speakers. Some were deaf, some were hearing, but all were there to support the Deaf Culture Center.
And welcome to the grand opening celebration. Forrest C. Nickerson, was the founder of and first president of CCSD, the Canadian Cultural Society of the Deaf. And he had a dream. And that dream was to establish a deaf arts center. And his dream, as a crystal ball, you could see right through it and wonder, wow, it's got deaf culture and performing arts and storytelling. And it's so exciting. We need to showcase the world because the world doesn't know what we have. But the dream was put on hold, and the crystal ball placed on a shelf. And CCSD then turned its attention to the publication of two books, the Canadian ASL Dictionary and the Deaf Heritage in Canada. When they were successfully published, CCSD board then returned its attention to that crystal ball that had dust on it. And remembered over 30 years ago, the dream. And we felt it time to blow off that dust. And when we did, we saw something valuable that we needed to show the world. We needed to show the talents that we deaf people have and the excitement that we have. But how can we explain that? And how do we explain our identity? And we thought that we need to name it, and we need a Deaf Culture Center. Deaf Culture Center. Oh, but what about our first language? How do we showcase our sign languages? Because it's so beautiful and so eloquent and so complex and it moves. It's four-dimensional. And so we gave three-dimensional signs, inspire diversity, community, and culture. And we had logos built around that. And today, after tonight's opening ceremonies, you're going to walk into the Deaf Culture Center and you're going to see the signing logos. This is your language. We have a dream, and tonight, the crystal ball shines brighter and gives clarity, just like our Deaf Culture Center. We have a place for our deaf culture. It's a lighthouse. We have a lighthouse that emanates and gives information to the world that we have good news to share. And people will come and celebrate deaf life and celebrate our culture and our language.
It's hard for me to explain how I'm feeling this evening. I was teasing my wife when we came in. I said I really felt astounded when I came in, and everybody's signing, and this environment is so amazing. And this is my language. This is a completely barrier-free opportunity. This is my world, barrier-free. And now we have a Deaf Culture Center, which is my place to come and be inspired, to recognize the opportunities to share art, to share history, to look back at our relationship with our residential schools, with Gallaudet University. I've met many, many friends here, and I'll tell you, I am absolutely inspired by the Deaf Culture Center. Forrest Nickerson is actually my brother-in-law, and this was his dream. We talked a lot about this. He said that he wanted to set up a Deaf Culture Center in Winnipeg. It's here in Toronto, and that's just fine. It's wonderful to see Forrest's dream come to fruition. Helen Pizzicalla up on stage had just recently said that the crystal ball has been dusted off and is now lighting the way for members of the deaf community.
I'm overwhelmed with this special moment. This has been an undertaking of many, many years. Did we dream that we would be in this place? No. And I don't want to just stand up here and give thank yous, which is sort of Canadian culture that we have to extend thank yous, but what does thank you actually mean? What's the key to it? Certainly, Anita and I have worked. The CCSD board has certainly been supportive, but who have been the important people? And that's you people. Without you, if you weren't here, we wouldn't be here, and our work would have been meaningless. And so it's you that are the important role here. We have our Deaf Culture Center 2 doors down, and it has a wall of donors. Their names are inscribed and in the book. And it doesn't matter how much you gave to us. You gave, and you gave from your heart. And it doesn't matter how much you gave. It made us rich. And so it's you people. You have been my energy. You have given me the ability to progress, because without you, I would have stopped. But you gave me the energy. And volunteering is such an important part of all of this. It's an unpaid job, but you do it. And my absolute admiration to the volunteers. Who do you think organized this today? Jeremy Wells. He's a young man. He's in college. He wants a BA in organization, and he did this in a volunteer capacity. And because of that, we help him grow, he helps us grow. It's an important role, volunteerism. And as we began to collect the monies necessary for this, we have 84% achievement to date. And hopefully tonight, you can help us achieve 100%, which means We can then turn our attention to the endowment fund. And so we can begin to raise that and keep our Deaf Center running from the interest of the endowment fund. We have a plan. You're going to be seeing the Deaf Culture Center, and you're going to have a sneak preview so that you have a smattering of an idea, and so the excitement will build, and we'll be able to get the monies necessary to sustain us. And remember, an important part of my life has been my family. My husband, Jim. I mean, he's just been undying in his support. And my children, Jerry and Jason, my son and daughter, they've suffered because I shared their childhood with you. And just my hat's off to my family. I wouldn't be here without them. I love you all, and thank you. And just let's keep the movement moving.
Imagine the sea. You look at it from afar, and at first see a dark mass of water. As you approach, you begin to see colors, blue, then vibrant colors of life within the sea as you submerge. Such has been my good fortune in the deaf community, as I discovered what I had sensed all along, even when looking from the distance. Arms move gracefully in the water, making eye contact with all that is there. I saw bright colors, a flurry of language under the water, living to the fullest, beautifully complex, and with a richness and vibrancy that's breathtaking. Now I swim comfortably alongside my friends. We all glide through the water, arms flowing, no need for voice in the sea, feeling the flow of the water, creating a current as we swim together towards our dream, the dream of the Deaf Culture Center, a place where the deaf community thrives and where hearing individuals are enriched by their increased knowledge of deaf culture. CCSD President Helen Pizzakala has likened the Deaf Culture Center to a lighthouse with a sphere of light emanating, pulsing and glowing through time and space. This light now illuminates all that is in the sea, for all to see and share in. Helen is the keeper of the light, wise and courageous in her leadership to make this important step in history. We all learned that a good, safe swim is best with a partner. Joanne is that true, trusting partner for me. Keeping a clear vision of the Deaf Culture Center, we always know that when one waterway is blocked, we will find another tributary to reach our goal. She is a positive woman of integrity and good humor. To her, I hold such high honor. We all know that the best swim begins with a great dive. My incredible husband, Norm, is the sturdy, flexible springboard from which I am fortunate to make this magnificent dive. How lucky I am. And when our home filled with archives, art, and artifacts, and it seemed I might drown in work, he and my sons Yoni and Eli helped me come to the surface for air. They know balance. Now the Deaf Culture Center is here, and we begin a new swim, a community swim. Some are deep in the deaf community, some are at the surface of the water, but we all, together, are drawn to the lighthouse. By virtue of its existence, it shows us that we are in fact the same, wanting to move freely, show our colors, and connect deeply in this great universe of ours. The Deaf Culture Center at the Distillery, with its programs, exhibits, and daily life, promises to support each of us to do that. I am most grateful to be part of this shared vision with all of you.
It's nice to see everyone gathered together here today. This place is really inspirational, full of deaf art, deaf culture. It's been a long time coming, and I'm happy that it's finally here. I'm not a Canadian, and I have to tell you how inspired I am by this wonderful event. that we have a Deaf Culture Centre in Canada, in Toronto, is a very exciting thing. It is cause for celebration. When I first heard that the Deaf Culture Centre was going to be founded, I was in full support. I think it was something that needed to happen. I think that word deaf needs to be out in the open. It's been in the dark for thousands and thousands of years, and now this is an opportunity to shine some light on this whole community. This is an opportunity for people from the mainstream to come in and learn about deaf culture and about the language. And hearing parents of deaf children don't have to feel in the dark anymore. They can recognize that there are deaf leaders and deaf community members with some incredible talents, and this is a showcase for that. I am in great awe. This is a real pleasure to be here. I think it's very important for the deaf community to develop this kind of environment and this kind of event. So while I'm here tonight, I see deaf community members working in conjunction. We're finally developing and moving forward and opening the doors to a lot of cultural expression. And I think this is a really nice way to showcase that deaf people can do whatever they set their minds to.
The gala included many entertainers, including comedy, poetry, dance, and exciting acrobatic performances.
What's with this guy? I'm deaf. I'm deaf.
If Dad were here tonight, he would be very proud. And for those of you who knew him well, I am sure you can picture the excitement and reaction this day would have brought you. I know that we can. Thank you.
After the performances and speeches, the highlight of the evening was a sneak peek at the Deaf Culture Center. The Deaf Culture Center is a fun place to be. The displays of deaf history and culture are beautifully presented. And this space is quickly becoming an important gathering place for our community. The center offers many programs in ASL and LSQ, including cooking, photography, poetry, and dance classes. There is also a gift shop with books and products of special interest to deaf people. This is one of my favorites.
I knew it was going to happen because we have the community support to back us. You saw many, many people here this evening who all believe in the same goal. If you look at our donors wall and the donors book, you'll see all the other names of people who believe and are committed to the Deaf Culture Center. We want to be able to share deaf life with the world overall. Now we're seeing more and more deaf people in isolation, and we want to know how we can spread the good news to them. And this is the opportunity. This is a perfect location. People can come here and learn about the deaf life. This Deaf Culture Center, it makes deaf people more visible. The reason is that people in general never see deaf people on a day-to-day basis, on the street or wherever, because we all look the same. We have the same bodies. There's no way to tell us apart. The only difference is that we communicate with our eyes and with our hands. And we use American Sign Language. But with deaf people walking on the street, you couldn't tell them apart from anybody else. This Deaf Culture Center gives people an opportunity to meet each other, to express each other in American, to express themselves in American Sign Language. And that can only grow. It's just like this is the hub, and everything will grow from this. We do have people who use American Sign Language on this planet, and it's okay. There are many of us. And to feel at home and to feel comfortable with using ASL, they can come here. It can be recognized here and encouraged and supported here. You can see the numbers continuing to increase, and I think this center is a big part of that. It would be something that I'd love to see happen in Rochester. We've got all kinds of deaf people in our community, but society is yet unaware of deaf people and their culture. So we need to get more visibility happening. And we don't have that in Rochester as you have here, at least not outside of the schools or outside of the colleges. I mean, that's pretty much where it happens in Rochester. But there is no Deaf Culture Center like there is here. This is set up by, for, and with deaf people. It shows our rich heritage, and people are really satisfied because their needs are being met. Their quality of life issues are being addressed.
The Deaf Culture Center is custom designed to meet the unique visual needs of people who use sign language. It's an open concept. People can see each other. The colors and the lighting are perfect. The offices are divided by glass walls, again to make communication easier. Sheldon Levitt of Quadrangle Architects worked closely with the deaf community to make all this happen.
Here, we don't have to preach to people. People can come in, wander around. Used to be a point in time when you'd have to go to specific workshops to find out where people were meeting in order to get the words out to them. Now times are changing. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Shoeless Joe. He was a baseball player. He said that if you build it, they will come. So we've built it. Now they're coming.
Meanwhile, back at the Gala, the festivities are far from over.
Hello! I hope you're all enjoying the evening, yes? And it's really nice to see everybody with smiles on their faces. Okay, the board of the Deaf Culture Centre and CCSD, the Canadian Cultural Society of the Deaf, want to extend a thank you to three people that have worked diligently. 24/7, 365, and they really need to be honored for their work. And without them, I don't know. We needed leaders, and so they helped lead the way and to make this success. And that success is that we're here today. And we need to thank the husbands. Takeout food, etc., etc. Hopefully we can get back to a little normalcy. But anyway, we'd like to thank Joanne Cripps. Where is she? Come over here. Come over here. And Anita Small. Come on. And the other one is Helen Pizzacala. The Deaf Culture Center and the CCSD wants to recognize your outstanding work. Most importantly, without them, where would we be? I know it's been cooperation from all of us, and I'm so glad you're all here to enjoy the rest of the evening.
This place would not be possible if it weren't for people giving from their hearts. Small donations mean as much as big donations. All the money that has come in has been very important to the success of this endeavor, and you can see now it's been a success. Whether people have been donating small amounts or large amounts, it's all worked together to make this possible. It definitely does show the deaf community progress. It shows that deaf people working together can make anything happen. This is a perfect example of a community working in partnership. It's achieving a dream. I think it means that it doesn't matter who you are, whatever talents you have or however you were born, whether you're a deaf child or what have you, that we're worthy and that anything is possible. This is an opportunity for deaf people to identify with other deaf people in the community who are very successful. And I think this is only going to help them achieve anything they want in their own futures. I think this culture center will help decrease many of the barriers in the community. This is one of the most amazing prime financial business community areas that you can imagine. I think this is really going to have a positive impact. We've got banks internationally renowned who have really been involved, and we are going to hit the business community. You see that attitudes will change. We will make an impact. Corporate businesses, policies are all going to be changing.
I'll say my goodnight and time to party, but don't go and never come back. Come back. And when you go home, make sure you tell your family and your friends and let them know that if they go to Toronto, they need to come by the Deaf Culture Centre, because if they haven't stopped by, they haven't seen Toronto. Many, many thank yous for your undying support. And let's continue it. And let's celebrate tonight. Thank you, one and all.
The Deaf Culture Center is a symbol of the deaf community celebrating deaf life. It is a convergence point for deaf and hearing people to immerse themselves creatively within deaf culture. As you have seen, the center is receptive and open to all. It enriches and elevates the achievements of the deaf community for all the world to understand and appreciate. We hope you have enjoyed our presentation of Realizing a Dream, and invite you to come down and experience all that the center has to offer. Now, please stay tuned for a special presentation of ASL Poetry by Ella May Lentz.